In this video, we're taking a look at the cheapest 6.5 PRC chambered firearm, the Mossberg Patriot. Is it always about you get what you pay for, or is this an amazing value? Let's take a look. So far, we've looked at a number of firearms chambered in 6.5 PRC right here on this channel, and I've had an opportunity to shoot a couple more. This gun, however, is by far the least expensive 6.5 PRC chambered firearm. The question is, do you always get what you pay for, or is this perhaps an awesome value of a firearm and possibly a great foundation to build off of? More importantly, who is this firearm ideal for? Let's take a look. We'll start with the features, we'll take it out to the range, I'll then give you my first impressions, and then the bottom line. If you want to skip to a particular section or want to rewatch a certain topic, there are timestamps in the description box below. The Mossberg Patriot is available in a number of configurations under different models. The primary differences are whether you're getting a Patriot with either a wood stock or a synthetic stock, with or without a bundled rifle scope, or the Predator model here, which comes with a fretted barrel ready for a muzzle brake or suppressor of your choice. Do note that Mossberg chambers the Patriot in a lot of calibers, and some of these calibers are only going to be specific to a particular line. Prime examples of this would be the 6.5 PRC cartridge, which is only chambered in the Predator line. Okay, so just as we've done in the past, let's start at the front, then we'll work our way back. Right up front, as I previously mentioned, this firearm comes with a fretted barrel. It is fretted 5/8 by 24, making it ready for pretty much any 6.5 or 308 caliber muzzle brake or a suppressor. The frets are protected by this very nice fret protector, which goes on and comes off quite smoothly, and has nice texturing on it that will allow you to quickly take it on and off whether you're wearing gloves or not. There's certainly a lot of value with this gun, and one of them is that every barrel is going to come with a target crown on it, standard. This is going to accomplish two things. First is that it may improve accuracy, although it's debatable by how much. But more importantly is that by having the rifling slightly recessed, it should protect the barrel and the rifling in case you drop it or bang the barrel. The barrel here is a 24-inch barrel that has been button rifled, and it is free floated. You generally want to see a free floated barrel, as that'll help with more predictable barrel harmonics, thereby getting you more accuracy. These barrels are rifled with a 1 8-inch twist, which is pretty much the standard for 6.5 PRC. This will be perfectly capable of stabilizing bullets up to 147 grains in most weather conditions. Do note, however, that if you plan on hand loading and using the super heavies for this caliber, such as the Berger 156 grain bullets, then this may be marginally stable. However, as per the stability calculator, both the 143 grain ELDX Precision Hunter and the 147 grain ELD Match Hornady Match ammo will be perfectly stable with this gun under most weather conditions. The barrel here is certainly not a heavy bull barrel that we find on some of the Rugers, and it's actually fluted on the front half, further reducing the weight. This barrel was absolutely designed with hunting in mind. Now, one of the questions that comes up with 6.5 PRC is just how much of a barrel burner it is. As per Hornady, you should be able to get about 2,000 to 2,500 rounds out of this barrel before your groups start opening up, and at that point you would be able to change out the barrel on this gun, by either sending it to Mossberg or removing the smooth barrel nut and replacing the barrel. One thing to note, however, is that unless you have previously purchased aftermarket barrels, you might be shocked to find out that an aftermarket barrel for this gun might cost just as much as what you paid for the entire gun, barrel, receiver, and stock combined. So moving back, we come back to the Mossberg Patriot receiver. The Patriot is available in a number of different actions, and this is the standard actions. This is a 2-lug push-feed action similar to what you find on a Remington 700. 2 lugs or 3 lugs is definitely going to be a personal preference, and there are pros and cons to both. So far, playing with this action, I have absolutely no issues with it. One of the things that I really appreciate is just how smooth this action is for a rifle in this price range. What is absolutely pleasant to see is that Mossberg included a fluted bolt here. And if you're shooting out in the elements, this is going to help you if you have any debris, or let's say you're hunting and there's snow and it's caught in here, you'll have an easier time removing the bolt instead of having a solid bolt which would just possibly freeze to the receiver. Once again, to remove the bolt, lift the bolt handle, and on this side there is a button. Push it down and then remove the bolt. To put it back, press in the button, push the bolt back in, and you are set. On this gun, you have a 2-position safety. Pushed forward, the gun is ready to fire. Pull back towards you, where it covers the red dot, the gun isn't safe, and you can still operate the bolt. There are some guns out there which have a 3-position safety, with the additional position being the gun safe and you being unable to open the bolt. Once again, it's all a personal preference, and there is no right or wrong for that situation. Moving on, you have a fairly nice bolt handle here. It's nice sized, and there are some design elements on here. The bolt knob is not super tactile, so if you have slippery hands or you're shooting this in the winter with gloves on, it might be slightly slippery. Also, the bolt handle here is not threaded, so you cannot replace the bolt knob with the knob of your choice. It is, however, totally functional as it is. So another nice value here that Mossberg does include is going to be the detachable magazine. Oftentimes, a lot of the cheaper variants of firearms, and especially those that are made for hunting, will have an internal box magazine. This gun does come with the detachable magazine, and the magazine is polymer, and it does feel a little bit on the thinner side. However, so far it seems to be perfectly functional. Let's move back up, and then we'll return to the trigger. One of the selling points of the Predator line is that Mossberg does include a full-length Picatinny rail here, which will surely save you some money, and it'll work with any standard rings or mounts that you might already have. The only thing I would say, however, is that this is a flat rail and not a canted 20 or a 30 MOA rail. Obviously, for hunters, this is not going to make much difference, as pretty much most any scope in modern calibers, such as the 6.5 PRC, you're not going to have any issues getting out to 600 or even 700 yards with a flat rail. However, if you're purchasing this rifle for long and extended long-range shooting on a budget, you might have to invest some money in getting either a canted rail or using a mount that'll have a 20 or a 30 MOA cant. Okay, so let's go back down and discuss the trigger. The Mossberg uses what they call the LBA trigger, which I believe stands for Lightning Bolt Adjustable. There is a bladed trigger here where the blade in the middle serves as the safety function and is similar to what you find on designs from both Ruger and Savage. One thing I'll note, however, is that there is seemingly less side-to-side slop on the blade than I recall with other firearms. This trigger is also user adjustable from as little as 2 pounds up to 7 pounds of trigger weight. On this trigger, I was able to measure an average of approximately 6 ounces of pressure required to pull in the trigger blade safety, and the trigger broke at an average of right around 3 or 3.25 pounds. On this trigger, once you press in the trigger blade, there is generally no more creep, although you do have a slightly heavier trigger pull. particularly if you're coming from a competition side of things. If you're a hunter, however, this is perfectly normal, and it's a perfect trigger, as in either case you can adjust the trigger down to a lower weight if you want to. Do note, however, that if you're using this rifle as a basis for precision rifle, you are able to find competition style triggers from companies such as Jard, and you can find a link in the description box below. So lastly, we have the stock. As I said, the Mossberg Patriot comes in a number of configurations, and one of those is going to be the difference in the stock. The stocks are either available as very nice walnut wood stocks or a polymer stock, such as the one that you find in the Patriot models and what you see here. This is a standard Monte Carlo type stock. Let me move that. With a right-handed cheek weld, a plastic trigger guard, and a couple of swivel stud mounts, one on front and one on the back. Well, front and back. And I do have a bipod on here now. So one stock feature that does have to be pointed out, and where Mossberg should be giving credit, is by putting in this very nice rubber recoil pad. It's something that you'll certainly appreciate with a caliber such as 6.5 PRC if you're shooting it with a lighter weight, if you're shooting it in a lighter weight gun and without a muzzle brake. So, how much do you expect to pay for this gun? The Mossberg Patriot is certainly feature packed for the price point, and this 6.5 PRC chambered Patriot Predator has an MSRP of just $484 and was routinely found for under $400, making it by far the least expensive 6.5 PRC chambered firearm that I've been able to find. So, it certainly packs the value equation. The question is, can it shoot? We'll be testing this rifle out with this Element Titan rifle scope. I've done a detailed video on the scope, and you can find it linked above. Up front, I've mounted this cheap bipod that I've had laying around, and the only reason I'm using it is because most of my other bipods use a Picatinny attachment or Swiss Arca attachment, and this is the one I have that has attachments for the front swivel stud. Accuracy-wise, at this price point, if we get anything around 1.5 MOA, I'll consider that good, and if we can get closer to 1 MOA, even better. And I think this is going to make an exceptional gun in either case. I do have a suspicion this is going to be a terrific hunting rifle, but I'm more curious about how good of a budget precision rifle this could be. Before heading out to the range, I highly recommend that you double check your rifle, making sure that the action bolts and the scope base is going to be on snug. You do not want to ruin the range trip by finding out that the rifle couldn't shoot because the scope base was loose. So I'm going to use my Fix-It Sticks kit with the all-in-one torque driver to make sure everything is up to spec, and then I'll mount the scope and I'll see you at the range. Alrighty. Okay, so what we saw was that the first round, the cold bore, seemed to go a little higher. So these are 4-round magazines, and then I have 2 extra rounds. We'll do 5-shot groups. I'll try to use the bag. So I'll start the 5-shot group. If we see that there's a difference, we'll just shoot a 6th, because it has been sitting. No, don't tell me. I adjusted the windage too much, and goddamn, that hurts. Without a break, that hurts. Yeah, so it looks like first shot was high, Second shot was good. And third shot was like right in it. That one popped. I pulled that. Someone's doing fireworks. Alright, you do feel it. So shooting prone, this pad hits way low versus when I was shooting it behind the bench. So I think what we'll do is I'll shoot one more group of 5 here, and then I'll take it back up to the bench. Alright, so while the gun is still warm and camera is recording. So that is basically something, because it's a standard action and 6.5 PRC, slightly longer cartridge. It's a little bit more pain in the tuchus to What? So at this point, it could be the barrel heating up. Oh yeah, it's nice and toasty. All right, so we'll finish this 5-shot group and then it's starting to walk now. But I'm glad we're actually testing this. Okay. The scope's not moving. Stupid bipod. All right. I dig it. So definitely, when the bore is so I dig this. When the bore is cold, it shoots pretty dang well. It's just so we have 15 rounds in, it starts walking, and the barrel is freaking hot. So I'm going to use this as a hand warmer in a few seconds. What can I say? The action is fairly smooth. Positively surprised. Trigger is not bad, so I haven't even adjusted this. You do get used to it, especially when it's freaking cold out. So it's about 33 degrees right now. It's pretty cool. It's not bad at all. It's not bad. The magazines, so they function 100% fine. The only thing that you're going to notice is, so it's not an AICS magazine. So it's sometimes the follower could possibly tilt, but you have no problem loading it. So I think for hunting purposes, this would be just fine. The only thing I would say is when you're putting the magazine in, it takes a little bit of effort to lock it, especially if you have 4 rounds in there. The magazines are 4 rounds. They are a double feed design instead of like a standard AICS, which is like 1.5-ish. Actually, I don't remember. Huh. I have a bunch of them, but yeah. So the stock, so when I'm shooting behind the bench, it was great. And the recoil pad hits you perfectly. The problem if you're shooting prone is, like you saw it here, it's hitting right in the collarbone. So it is, ideally I'd want it higher, but I can't. So I'm not getting a super duper great cheek weld on here. So if you are going to be using this as a basis for, like, let's say a long range precision gun, if you're shooting behind the bench, it's all kosher. I mean, it's all good. But if you're going to be shooting prone, you might want to look at doing something with this. What you can do is there's like some cheek pads, and I think that would help a little bit as well. And what I will say is, I think for hunting purposes, you don't need a muzzle brake, but I am 15 rounds in. Yes, I attend that box in the 15 rounds in, and I do feel it. You definitely do feel the recoil. I kind of anticipated it. Well, let's put it. I anticipated it in my mind. Then I kind of like had to beat it out of me. Like, okay, you're shooting this, and it was fine. I think with a good 6.5 brake, this could be really, really, really good. And it could be a good chassis. Let me rephrase that. It could be a good platform to build off of. But like I say, I like the action. I like the action, and I like it better. It's infinitely nicer than the 224 Valkyrie MVP Precision. Not from the features perspective, but just from the accuracy perspective and shooting characteristics. Everything seems well thought out, and I think it's infinitely an amazing value. All right, I'm going to let the gun cool down a bit, and then I'll throw it back up on the bench. I'll actually look in my bag if I have a 6.5 brake, but if not, then we'll shoot another group and see how that does. And let me see actually if I have a target out at 300. Yep, we do have a target at 300. I'll get the dope, and then, it's actually, it's still hot. I was gonna say, like, by the chamber, it's actually getting already a little colder. And I'll get some groups out there. All right. God damn, that sucks without a brake. What? That is weird. All right. Nope, looks like I'm hiking up there anyway. Alright, so we're at the 330-yard line. We shoot all the way from back there. I recovered the drone, which died. And there we go. So I couldn't originally see it because it's already like 4:30, so it's dark. But we had one center, 2, 3, 5.4 and 5.6. I did fire 7 or 8 shots. We have those 6, and then I did fire a couple. We hit that might have been on the drone. Well, first I shot the pan. It looked like a pan. It is actually a pan. I didn't hear anything because it went right through. And then I shot that actually moved. And then we did those. So yeah, that's the gun. Bottom line, I'm quite pleasantly surprised with this Mossberg Patriot Predator in 6.5 PRC, especially after my initial experiences with another Mossberg in 224 Valkyrie. This gun does not overpromise and underdeliver, but rather it delivers exactly on what it promises. So, whom is this gun ideal for? This is a terrific hunting firearm. This is a pretty accurate gun that's capable of delivering 1 MOA performance with factory ammo and is in a package perfectly suited for the mission, meaning it's in a lightweight stock with lighter contoured barrel that'll save weight. The 6.5 PRC caliber may be a tad too much here for the Northeast, however delivers great performance for long-range hunting, such as apparently what people do out west in those big rectangular states. The only thing I would caution on with this firearm out of the box with factory Hornady Precision Hunter ammo has a distinct point of impact shift on the first cold bore shot, landing approximately half to 1 mil high. Therefore, if you're purchasing this for a hunting firearm, you should probably be zeroing the scope for your cold bore shot rather than the subsequent group, unless you, I guess, kind of make it a habit to hit on your second, third, or fourth shots. In either case, I would not hesitate for 1 second about purchasing the Mossberg Patriot for that purpose. So the next question is, how is this as a starter or an entry-level precision rifle? And that is a great and an interesting question. As an entry-level precision rifle, I think it's a solid option, especially for a modern, smaller magnum caliber such as the 6.5 PRC. The rifle is cheap enough for you to purchase and learn on, both to learn how to shoot and learn what your preferences are before upgrading to a gun that you will ultimately love. I say this coming from my perspective of almost every day I'll have people asking questions such as, should I buy the Ruger Precision Rifle or the Hawkeye, the Bergara or the Howa, etc., etc. And generally the answer is, whatever you prefer. But most people do not know what they want when they're just starting out. Someone I know was picking my brain about precision rifles for his father, and my suggestion was to get something like this Mossberg or Ruger American, learn to shoot on that, and then buy or build. I just learned that he spent over $5,000 buying a custom chassis, a high-end action, a high-end barrel and trigger, without ever shooting one. When you ask any precision rifle shooter with experience, they will most certainly have a preference as to things such as, do you prefer a 2-stage trigger or a single-stage trigger? Do you want 2-lug or a 3-lug bolt? Do you want 90-degree throw or a 70-degree bolt throw? Do you prefer push feed versus controlled round feed? Do you want a stock or do you want a chassis? Do you want wood? Do you want polymer? Do your magazines, do you want them to be AICS or AW, or do you want them to be AR-10 or SR-25 magazines? Then you have things to consider such as, do you want a barrel that's going to sit flush against the receiver or use as a jam nut? Do you want a quick change barrel system? Do you want a 2 or 3 position safety? Do you want same side ejection or opposite side ejection? This is all, of course, before going into the choice of calibers or the size of the actions, which certain calibers are able to fit into multiple sized actions from various manufacturers. So my philosophy is, before you climb the ladder and spend a lot of time and money purchasing a rifle, make sure that that ladder is leaning up against the right tree and you're investing your money in something you'll actually want versus something that you're going to hope that you like. And this is going to be quite critical when it comes to more expensive firearms. You can purchase this Mossberg Patriot, and in the future, if you decide you do not like it and you want to resell it, at most you'll lose $50 or $100 or so, as long as you didn't overpay to begin with. If you're purchasing a $1,500 Ruger precision rifle, a $2,000, $3,000, or $4,000 semi-custom or custom rifle from Christensen, Bergara, Fierce, or whoever, and you decide you do not like it, you're going to be losing a heck of a lot more than $50 or $100, because at those price points you either have Mr. Moneybags who will want to buy a new one, an experienced shooter who will probably want something a little bit different, or a more experienced gun owner who realizes that he can probably put together the same rifle, or even with better components for less money himself. But, like I said, I'm a practical guy, and to each their own. I think we all support the Second Amendment in our own unique ways. And I certainly believe that for every case and every gun owner, there is going to be an ideal firearm. However, with newer or less experienced shooters, they don't know what they don't know, and I would hate for you to waste your money then be pissed off about it. So, for a less experienced gun owner looking to go past 100 yards, I think this is a solid rifle to start with and to learn on. You have a pretty nice factory action, you have a solid trigger to learn on, and when you want, you can adjust it down to as little as 2 pounds. And of course, there's also going to be a removable magazine that is better than having an internal one. There are, however, also reasons why this would not be an ideal precision rifle for someone taking long range seriously. Now, while the magazines are functional, they use a proprietary magazine. Generally, long range rifles will use a standard, and for 6.5 PRC, you're using AICS pattern magazines, such as this one from Accurate Mag. I can use one magazine in both the Rugers that I have, an upcoming Savage 6.5 PRC, and others. The second thing is going to be the stock. This is a traditional Monte Carlo style stock, which is perfectly suited for hunting or even shooting behind a bench, just like you saw me shoot. For shooting prone, however, you will want to have an adjustable cheek riser and an adjustable length of pull, as you will typically need a wee bit more space shooting prone. Furthermore, if you're shooting precision, weight is not a detriment and, in fact, is your friend. As with the more weight you have, the less recoil you'll feel, and more likely you will retain a good sight picture after pulling the trigger, allowing you to see your hits and misses. Lastly is going to be the barrel. This barrel is perfectly fine for hunting, or if you're the type of shooter who is disciplined enough to let it cool down after every 5 shots or so. Because it's a thinner profile and is fluted to save weight, aka an ideal hunting barrel, if you're sending a lot of rounds downrange in a short period of time, the groups will open up, and in some cases quite a bit. I suppose one other topic would be that the Patriot line is relatively new and there is not a lot of aftermarket support, such as what you find for, say, a Savage or a Remington 700. That does not, however, mean that there is not. After picking up the gun from my FFL, I was immediately impressed with the factory action, so I rounded up some partners to see how much we can push this firearm and perhaps make it an awesome entry-level long-range blaster, or at least a phenomenal long-range hunting firearm. From Boyd's, we can address the first 2 issues, the stock and the magazines. Boyd's Stocks is, I believe, the largest aftermarket stock manufacturer who's capable of inletting their stocks for pretty much any rifle out there. And Boyd's does indeed make a stock that works with the Mossberg Patriot. Boyd's also makes what we call bottom metal, which will allow you to use AICS pattern magazines with the Mossberg Patriot actions. The stock is the one that I wanted to get my hands on for a long while, which is the Boyd's At-One stock, which is a laminated stock with both an adjustable cheek riser and length of pull. And while it's still a hunting style stock, Boyd's does offer, which pocket do I have them in? Here we go. They do offer these more upright grips, well, they're the upright grip panels, which make it more conducive for long range shooting. Furthermore, much like Boyd's is to gun stocks, Jard is to triggers, and is one of the only, if not the only, companies that offers an aftermarket match trigger for the Mossberg Patriot platform. I have this trigger, and I believe it's set for either 10 or 14 ounces, and it is adjustable. If you want to improve your hunting gun, then Jard does offer these preset to 20 ounces as well. As the barrel is fretted 5/8 by 24, we're also going to put on an effective 6.5 caliber muzzle brake, and we'll put all of these modifications on the gun in an upcoming video. And if you are watching this in the future, you'll be able to find it linked above. What I'm not going to do, however, at least yet, is replace the barrel. I believe that as long as I'm not sending a lot of rounds downrange quickly, we should be able to maintain the accuracy. And at the current $60 a box or so, that should not be a problem. I must say though, I'm really impressed with the action for a factory action. So in the future, maybe. I mean, it is a pretty fine factory action. Lastly, no matter how you plan on using this gun or any other precision rifle for that matter, the one place where you should invest some money is going to be a good optic. I continue to be impressed with the Element Optics Titan rifle scope, and this is the 5-25 by 56 rifle scope with the front focal plane reticle. I took the rifle out to the range on a cold, dark, gloomy, cloudy day, and it performed admirably. A real test for any scope. And you can find the detailed video, the detailed first look video for the scope linked above as well. Bottom line, the Mossberg Patriot Predator in 6.5 PRC is an excellent hunting rifle, a good entry-level precision rifle, and perhaps a good foundation for a long-range blaster. I appreciate you watching, and if you learned something new, please make sure to smash the like button and share the video with your friends. Make sure you're subscribed and you have the notification bell on to receive up-to-date notifications on our latest videos, including the follow-up to this firearm, our ongoing precision rifle series, and more. You simply don't want to miss what's coming up next. And if you enjoy this channel and you want to see more content and you want to help keep it going, please join the Squad Squad, our YouTube channel membership. You'll have a direct say in what content is coming up, a direct line to me, some awesome swag, and discounts to a number of vendors, including a few featured in our videos. You can find more info by clicking on the join button down below. As always, thank you for watching, keep on squatting, and I'll see you in the next video.